Welcome back to Vital Signs. If you're just tuning in, you're going to want to go to nowmedia.tv, go to shows, and pull down Vital Signs so you can catch the first part of this. We started the conversation with Jessica Preston on sexual health, infertility. Why do we have infertility, and what are some of the things that we can do to improve our hormonal health? And just before the break, we had a little teaser about how to improve our stress management. And so today we are going to dive deep in that, Jessica. We're just going to go right into it. Stress is one of the biggest challenges, especially chronic health for all kinds of health conditions. But talk to us a little bit about, how does stress interfere with sexual health and fertility?
Stress is my number one, and we work with stress immediately. When we look at all of the different areas we're looking at for fertility, so that's our nutrition and our exercise, our sleep, our community relationships, stress is number one. When we feel stress, what happens is it's a response for our autonomic nervous system. And so when we have that sensation or feeling of stress, it impacts our biochemistry. And so what happens is our biochemistry changes in a way that can, once again, cortisol can increase, and that can then cause our progesterone to decrease, our testosterone to decrease in that imbalance. So that's just an example when we're talking about stress. But let's go back to the feeling of stress itself. So when we feel stress, especially in the fertility space, we're so tired of hearing people say to us, just relax and it'll happen. But when you are in a infertility space, your world is rocked. You are in a place where you can't conceptualize what it's going to be like to not have what is an inalienable right to procreate, right? So when we are in that space, it's very different from any other diagnosis. Other diagnoses can be overcome. We can overcome our high cholesterol with treating this. But when you say I can't have a baby, it puts a stressor on us that is really hard to alleviate. So when we know that's the case, we know everybody in the fertility space has a stress load. The question is, do you feel stressed or do you not feel stressed? When you don't feel stress, I'm going to let you know that that's even more stress than the people who feel stress. It's almost a shutdown space of stress. So to go back to our autonomic nervous system, when we are in this space of feeling stress or not feeling stress, regardless, when we're in that space of fertility struggles, we are experiencing the stress. So now what we need to do is figure out what to do in order to get on top of it. So the issue is, when we talked about the other pillars, we need to get on top of it, because if we don't, it actually impacts all of those other pillars. For example, nutrition. When we are experiencing, when we're not, when we're experiencing stress, we don't digest as well. So it doesn't matter necessarily how good our nutrition is, because we can't absorb the nutrients we need to make healthy egg and sperm and healthy baby. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, and so we used to, it's really funny, what we always called it was, either you're in stress mode or you're in rest and digest mode. So, how can we, if we're stressed, whether we're feeling it or not, and we're in this infertility space, there's a lot of triggers. Like, people are like, when are you gonna have your baby? Because, usually you're excited about it, and it's something that has been a process, and other people are aware that it's in your agenda. So there's constant triggers. Forget the micro stressors of the day and traffic and job or all the other things, but the micro stressors add up. So how can we shift from that stress response to that rest and digest, so that we can optimally, uptake our nutrition, for example?
It's a perfect question, because when we say, I feel, if someone says, go meditate, and you don't know what to do for meditation, and you go listen to something on YouTube and you listen to it and you say, did it work? You have no idea if it worked. So it's really important to acknowledge that stress and find some things that will actually get you there, that will actually work. First and foremost, we need to have a lot of self-kindness and self-love, and say, and acknowledge where we are. I have this stress because I am sad, because I may not be achieving what I want to achieve. And this can be for anything. And have that acknowledgement. So we first have to be okay and say that we're okay, that we are in a stress state because we're sad that we're not achieving this goal. It's really important for us to see that in ourselves so that we can then take the next steps.
So awareness first, and do you have any kind of quick techniques that work for most people, like a breathing technique or something that
Yes.
people can start to maybe experience today so that they can start that self-awareness journey?
Yes, so I'm going to give you two. So one I'm going to give you that you can do right now, that everybody can do right now, and then I'm going to give you a technology. So both are really, really important. When you do not feel you can do it on your own, it's important to find a technology that can give you a metric. So those are things like heart math. So heart math is a device that you can purchase and an app that you can have in your phone, and you can find somebody who can train you in this. There are heart math trainers. We have heart math trainers, and that can show you how to put yourself into that rest and digest space. And so it's a biofeedback device. So that's important to know. Those devices do exist out there, and if you need that extra help, please find that. You can always reach out to us. We can connect you as well. Now, when it comes to feeling stress, and this is the difference. Remember, we talked about those two stress states. One is when you're really feeling stressed, and the other is when you're not. I'm going to address when you're feeling stressed. When you're feeling stressed, there is actually a breathing technique called the physiological sigh. This is an Andrew Huberman technique. So you can look him up as well. And he's wonderful in this space of autonomic nervous system balance. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take a deep breath in through the nose quickly. And then at the peak of the breath, we're going to breathe in a little bit more. Then we're going to exhale through the mouth, but the exhale is longer than the entire inhale. So, should we do this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. Breathe in through the nose real deep. Up a little more at the top. Slowly exhale through your mouth. So, we can do this 2 or 3 times, and that will take an actual feeling of stress away. And if you need to, excuse yourself. If you're at work, go to the bathroom, go to your car. If you're at home and there are people around that it's too much, excuse yourself for a few minutes. And this is an absolute gem to be able to take with you whenever you're truly feeling stress in that moment.
So I want to just highlight that because it is so incredibly important to know the exhale is through the mouth and longer than the inhale. That is so incredibly important. And some of the things that I've noticed, like when we just did this, is after the fact our shoulders are a little bit lower. It helps you to relax some of the musculature, and then your subsequent inhale is actually deeper. Is that part of this technique?
Absolutely, yes. And you can find even at the peak, if you choose, when you've been practiced at this a while, at the peak, if you can suspend your breath, not hold your breath tightly, but if you can suspend your breath up at the top of the peak, that can also be helpful. And then a long exhale.
And so this is for people who are feeling stress. So what about the people who are wired and tired? They're not necessarily feeling the stress, but as you said, it's actually more. You're holding on to more stress. What about for them?
Right. So when we look at autonomic nervous system, we're looking at 3 levels, not just the two. So we're looking at our healthy state where we're socialized and we're happy, and then we have our stress feeling state, and then we have our feeling shut down, wired and tired state. And so when we are actually in that lowest state, what we need to do is we actually need to move up through that state where we feel stress to get up to the socialization state. So, what we actually need to do is move our bodies. So, what you'll notice when you're in this state where you're very stressed and you are in that wired and tired space is you might be sitting on the couch, you can't get up, you're doom scrolling through your social media, you are sitting a lot still. It can feel a lot like self care, but you may not actually be in a self care state. That's why it's really also important to do checking in with yourself to see if you are actually self care resting or are you in that shutdown state. So what the best thing to do is to move, and it doesn't have to be a lot of movement. You can sit up on the couch and you can bounce your feet on the floor, or you can get up and just walk into the next room, or you can say, I'm going to get out in nature. And nature is very healing, and it's a very good place to be able to help reset stress as well. We are animals, we are inclined to actually have less stress when we are in nature.
And I'm just going to point out that in the first segment, you suggested that everybody get outside anyway in the morning. So why not add a little dose of movement to that sunshine state? Get out there, get outside, enjoy the warmth of the sun, move your body a little bit. So I thought that was absolutely amazing. And so for everybody who's watching and listening, Jessica, before we break, I'm just going to refresh, and please add if there's anything else. Breathe. Deep breath in through the nose, a little bit more after the top, and then exhale through the mouth longer than your inhale a couple of times, or go and move. If you're feeling so exhausted and you're just vegging, get up and move your body. Is there anything else that you would say, you know what, in order to manage your stress right now, this is something that you can do?
Think really just noticing where you are and being very vulnerable with yourself. This is where I am. I'm feeling sad. Allow yourself to feel the feeling. I'm feeling stress. Allow yourself to feel the feeling. And give yourself grace. Give yourself immense grace. It's okay to be exactly where you are.
That was absolutely phenomenal. Self grace is such an important thing, and I always like to say, you know, on this journey, it's not going to be perfect. So you're going to start doing this. You go, wait, I'm still stressed. Guess what? That's life. It's going to happen. It's a journey. It's a slow step-by-step process, and have a little love for yourself and grace in the process. Thank you for that. We do have to take a brief break, but we will be right back after these messages.